Joining me now, Congressman from the 4th District of Virginia, a regular on our show, also a guest host. We got to get him back real soon. Randy Forbes, Congressman Forbes, great to have you, sir.
John, it's always good to be with you.
Now, just a little aside, I had a chance to talk to your lovely bride yesterday, and I'm actually going to see her this evening at the Republican the Chesapeake Republican meeting. So she was in pretty good spirits. So that's the report from the domestic front.
Well, good. You did better than I did, John. So I'll have some news when I get to talk to her.
She always takes my call.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
Go figure. Right?
Yeah.
Go figure.
She
now,
likes you, John.
Well, she's in a fan club of a very few. My son, couple
See, she'll
others.
take your call. She won't always take my call. So you're in good company.
There you go. I want to get to the border issue, Congressman. We've been talking about this all day. A lot of people upset over it. Every phone call I've had in the past 2 weeks, this has been the issue. And there's a lot of concern now that the president coming to you in Congress, asking for nearly $4 billion, seems to some of us like a ruse. He knows you're going to turn it down. Then he can flip the narrative, blame Congress. He's already blaming Congress because you didn't pass his amnesty bill. That I don't see how that had anything to do with what's going on. How do we solve this?
Well, first of all, John, you got to find what the problem is. When the president blames people, that's what he's done with every failed policy he's had, whether it's his foreign policy or domestic policy, you name it. It's always somebody else's fault. It's never his policies. But let's kind of cut through all the hyperbole, all the pundits that are talking, and really laser in on the best facts that we have. We had a judiciary hearing on this issue, and you would think that if you really want to get the correct answer, who would be the best person or group of people to ask? Well, it would probably be the customs agents, the ICE agents, and probably the border agents. There's 16,500 border agents. So we had the head of both of those groups come before the Judiciary Committee. So that means they are unions. They acknowledge that they're Democrats. They acknowledge that they support the president. And here's what they said. When they were asked what was causing this problem, and that specifically was what I asked them, the head of these unions very specifically stated that it was the president's policies. And this is what they went on to say, John, which is just a staggering fact. They said, and this is the head of the ICE agents, the ICE agents, they said that gang members, other public safety threats, and criminals are being released due to the new administration DHS policies, such as deferred action for childhood arrivals and John Morton's arrest priorities memorandum. And then they went on to say this. They said they have told the Secretary of Homeland Security in countless town hall meetings where the agents are standing up and saying this, and this is a quote from the transcript. Anybody listening can get the quote. They said the administration's policies have tied their hands, preventing them from keeping many dangerous criminals off the street, and that their opinion as boots-on-the-ground officers in the field is that the new policies are a failure. And then they go on to say this. They say, we go to town hall after town hall. The agents, both the security border agents and the ICE agents, are standing up and telling the administration how bad these policies are, and they're failing. And so, John, when you get the top agents from the unions who support the president, who are saying the president's policies are what's causing these folks to come across the border and creating this crisis, you just have to say what you need is not more money. You need to change your policies.
But the president refuses to do that. So instead he flips around and blames Randy Forbes and others in Congress for not either giving him the $4 billion or passing his amnesty bill. Here's my question. You know this president. You've worked with him now for a term and a half. He knows these policies are driving what's happening. What is his objective?
I believe that he wants these things to be occurring so that he can say we've got this enormous crisis, and then force amnesty on the American people. This is a president who has clearly said, we don't care what the law is. We don't care. We're going to enforce the laws we want. The laws we don't want to enforce, we won't enforce. And he has mocked the Supreme Court. I mean, I think it's either been 9 or 12 unanimous decisions. To get a unanimous decision from the Supreme Court on anything today is almost impossible. There have been 9 or 12 decisions unanimously that said he's overstepped the Constitution. And yet he mocks the court instead of saying, oh, maybe we better step back and make some changes. And the difficulty, John, we have is that some of the leadership of the party that supports the president, instead of looking and saying these policies, either the foreign policy around the globe, the economic policies, now the policies on the border, are really having huge detrimental impacts on this country, and maybe they need to step back and change them. They want to just double down and say, nope, we just need to go faster and harder. And I think most Americans are starting to wake up to that and saying, oh, my gosh, what's happening? We're losing our country.
It makes no sense. We have no sovereignty. If you have no sovereignty and you can't control the borders of your nation, Congressman Forbes, you don't have a country. You have a geographical suggestion. I mean, average people understand this. We also know that as they come in, we're paying for this, and we've got our own problems.
Well, John, a couple of other things on that, too. If the President of the United States can say to you and I'm only going to enforce the laws I want to enforce. And if I'm not going to enforce the laws on the border because I don't want to, I just won't enforce them. Then the president tomorrow or another president tomorrow can say, I'm not going to enforce the laws that protect your property rights or any other right that you have.
Right.
And I think that's what Americans are beginning to see right now. Mm-hmm. And what a lot of Americans don't realize is this: the testimony we're having coming before our committee is that when one of these individuals come across the border, they're not sneaking across the border. In fact, the agents were saying if this was something they were doing, they'd be coming in the checkpoints.
Right.
They're coming across the border, and they have notes in their hand that normally have contact information. And oftentimes we're sending not one but 2 agents to fly them anywhere in the country they want to go, turning them over to people that we're not even doing checks on to see, like we would on a normal foster care situation, are they good parents or what? We're just turning them over. And remember, you're paying for not just that child's flight, but 2 agents, not one. In many cases, it's 2 agents there and back. And then the agents are saying, because we're doing all these flights and not on the border, we can't stop the bad guys that are coming through. You know, that's why the president's policies are so dangerous to the country.
Unbelievable. Common Sense News Time, 8:47. This is the John Fredericks Show across Virginia. We're with Congressman Randy Forbes, sits on the Judiciary Committee, Armed Services Committee, 4th District of Virginia, Republican Congressman. I want to go back to this crisis right now with this president, and with what you said earlier is that there's options to be done. He will not act on it. Let me just ask you this question straight out. Where's Mark Warner on this issue?
Well, John, I can't speak for any other member of our delegation. You need to ask them, or your constituents can ask them. I can only tell you where my position is and what I think, but I can tell you the House, I don't think, is going to give a blank check to the president until we have some kind of assurance that we're going to see the laws that we passed actually enforced. But I can't speak for what the Senate will do. You kind of know the track record there.
This interview, a big hit. I got a bunch of texts in. I'll just read you one. Congressman from Steve in Fairfax says, Forbes for governor. Look, I'm just saying that's what he said. I know. I'm just reading it. You know, I get about
John,
5 of them.
You're going to get me in trouble.
I know. 8:51. This is now. Look. It's becoming very inconceivable for anybody now to believe that all of these IRS emails can't be found. All the hard drives got grounded up into sawdust. Now we find an email that's gotten released by Lois Lerner in April of 2013 that said, hey, we better be careful about these emails because Congress is going to come after them. What is going on here?
Well, John, I think the big thing is, as we step back, you and I both know that no matter who the president is, you're going to have some partisan nipping at the heels, and you're going to have people kind of complaining on both sides of the aisle. Whoever's in office, somebody's going to be trying to protect them, their party, and the other party's going to try to attack them. But this is much, much bigger than this. This goes to the heart of the confidence of the American people in the institution of the presidency itself. When you find something as blatant as Benghazi, where that wasn't just an accident, that was an intentional distortion to the American people and to the world, it had huge repercussions, and then there's this massive cover-up. When you look at Fast and Furious on gun running where innocent people were killed, and you have this huge refusal to get at the facts, and now you have the IRS, which almost nobody in this country truly doubts that the IRS was targeting people politically, and then that there's been this massive cover-up. You would think at some point in time the administration would come up and say, this is bigger than partisanship. We have got to expose this. We've got to change this so it doesn't happen again, and we're going to get the facts. That's why we've called for the appointment of an independent special counsel and an independent computer forensic investigator to go in and look and just tell us the truth. You aren't going to get it when you have somebody appointed by either the Republicans or the Democrats, because nobody's going to have the confidence. You need an independent special counsel, independent computer forensic, so we can get at the bottom of this. This is dangerous stuff in terms of eroding the confidence of the American people in the institutions that govern their lives.
If there's nothing to hide, and the president came on TV in one of the interviews, I think it was with Bill O'Reilly, and he said there's not a smidgen of anything going on with the IRS. There's nothing there. Why wouldn't he just go ahead and put in place an independent investigative team, as you said, to do this so that he could be exonerated?
Well, first of all, this is one of those places I do have to agree with the president. There's not a smidgen of impropriety or corruption here. There are truckloads of it here. And, it wouldn't take an independent counsel very long to do exactly what you said, to come back and say, nope, look, president's right, not any corruption or problem at the IRS at all. American people have confidence in that institution. Or to come back and say, look, this was a bad situation. We're going to rout out the bad doers so that people have confidence from here on out. What the worst thing you can do is cover up all this rottenness, because you and I both are going to have in the back of our mind, oh, my gosh, if they did it then, if they wouldn't even correct it, they're going to do it again and do it tomorrow.
There's no question. Look, there is an erosion of confidence that people are having in their government, Congressman. It's beyond anything that I've ever seen. And I lived through Nixon, Watergate. I lived through the Ford pardon and things like this. But never have I seen people that I've talked to that just have no confidence that the federal government is telling them the truth.
And you know why?
That's a problem.
Because in both of those situations that you mentioned, the federal government came in and said, look, we're going to find the truth. We're going to let the American people know, no matter how bad it is, no matter how much it hurts us now, because in the long run, we'd rather have the short-term pain of finding out and correcting it than that long-term erosion of confidence that's there. And the difficulty here is it's being covered up, and the American people realize nobody is fixing the rotten boards.
So what's the answer?
The answer is for us to continue to push to get the appointment of an independent special counsel and an independent computer forensic investigator. If the administration won't support us in doing that, then I think the House needs to try to move forward and do it on its own.
And who would be the one that would bring that forward?
That would be the Speaker of the House, and probably have a resolution from the Rules Committee that would pass on the House floor to do that.
Got under a minute. Impeachment. John Boehner says it's a bad idea. I agree with him. What say you?
I absolutely agree with you. When you come back again to the confidence of the American people, we don't want to be a third world country where every time we turn around, somebody's bringing impeachment proceedings against the President of the United States or governors or anything else. When oftentimes I hear people saying, John, what are we going to do to protect the Constitution? The emphasis there is we, and it's the American people. That's why we have elections. That's why we have a ballot box. And in the final analysis, the protection of the Constitution is in the hands of the American people, and they need to stand up and protect it.
And they can do that starting in November. That's going to be the final word from Congressman Randy Forbes, Judiciary Committee, Armed Services Committee, here on the John Fredericks Show. He is a Republican in the 4th District of Virginia. By the way, he's up for election in November as well. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, John.